Hello, one. Hello, all. Welcome to the Day Late Dollar Short edition of Show Business. I come to March 16th edition. I come to as always as CP.
From Infuegotainment and the Horror Show. Hi, me and Fuego here.
And I'm Lindsey of My 2 Cents of Nonsense. What's up?
And hi, I'm Chauncey K. Robinson, Twisted CKR.
Yeah. All right. So I think this is the first time all four of us have been together for a little bit, right? A hot minute.
Couple of weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, since my birthday, I think.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, when you went to do other things with other people.
Talk to my father after my live. Yeah, guys.
All right, so since we've last been together, the Oscar nominations came out. Nothing really of importance was released to theaters, although Fuego and I both saw Chaos Walking, and that was a week ago. Mm-hmm. But shall we start with the Oscars or anything you want to catch up with in the time that we've been away?
I can apparently go, or I guess Chauncey and I both can. I guess some theaters are open in LA again, but I'm like,
really?
Yeah.
Do I want to go to the theater for Chaos Walking? Do I want that to be my first film back?
No.
Well, I mean, Raya was pretty good on the screen. That was I was glad I got to see that instead of
Raya? Is that what you
30. Yeah, Raya and The Last Dragon. That was pretty damn good. I liked it.
Mm-hmm. What were you going to say, Chauncey?
I was just going to say, yeah, we're opening back up at 25%, which is making it so that some still aren't opening up. Like my boyfriend, he works, he does bartending at the, one of them. And it's, they have a bar at the Grove. Which is part of ArcLight. Yeah. So they have and they're not opening back up because of the fact they're saying they're not going to make any money with 25%.
Yeah.
So there's no real point in doing that.
Yeah, it's all concession. Movie theaters aren't open for showing movies. They're open for concession. Like 1/4 of what they can make is they're probably taking a loss at 25%.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with restaurants too, right? Like restaurants who are trying to perform. I mean, they, I've been watching many documentaries and stuff about it. And it's like, some of them are kind of like, well, what's the point of being open? Because we're losing money in a way, even if it looks like people are here, because it costs more money. It costs money to keep it open and running at such a low percentage than actually like being able to fill it up. You probably do better to just kind of stay closed and like save your money if you can.
Right. Sure.
That literally happened to my restaurant that I worked at for, I don't want to say the number because it's embarrassing, but we just weren't doing enough numbers. Honestly, we weren't doing great going into this, but this just capped it off, like not even like a chance for recovery, because our entire business was basically based around the movies, because we were right next to a theater in ArcLight and the Pasadena Convention Center. So, when there's big movies, we do good. When there's like, Transformers Con, which is a real thing across the street, we do amazing. But when you go a year without any of those, you're done.
Well, that's just a depressing way to start the show.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My bad. Like, puppies and kittens.
In Florida, they aren't caring. So they're at full capacity in Florida. They're doing spring capacity. They never went on lockdown in Florida, so they're having spring break right now. So
what happened a year ago? We all remember, right?
Yeah, I don't know. We're still fragmented. We'll see. But movie theaters.
We're getting there. I got my first shot. I'm one.
Congrats!
Oh, essential worker, you jerk.
I mean, restaurants.
Yeah, benefit of being a restaurant employee, I guess.
I can go lick flagpoles again.
Trend on TikTok. Yeah.
Fuego, what about you? So we'll wrap around to 2 weeks ago, which was Chaos Walking, and then we can segue into whatever. Your thoughts on Chaos Walking, which was released a while back now?
Well, I can see why it took so damn long to get to audiences, because that movie was a mess, unfortunately. I mean, it looked pretty at times, but just the sum of its parts, all of the talent assembled for it, between the fact that Doug Liman makes pretty damn good looking, these big budget action things like the Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat, whatever. Even Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and then his older stuff, even back to Go and Swingers. They're well shot, they're well made movies, and great assembly of talent. Matt Mikkelsen is in the movie, obviously Daisy Ridley, but it's got a novel sort of angle to it that it wears out its welcome
pretty
friggin' quickly, in my opinion.
I agree.
The story is dull. Like very little. There's a lot of walking.
They run into somebody. They run into somebody. They run into somebody. And it's like,
and there's a little flirtation and like that's about it.
Yeah, I mean that's the cutest thing. Like when she can read that he wants to kiss her. Like they beat that to death. And she like at a certain point, she's like, "I'm not going to kiss you." And it's like, all right, well now that we know where she is, so
now I have no reason to see this movie. I wanted to see Ray get it on with Spider-Man.
You're welcome.
I can't now, so
and it's something they commit to, without spoiling it. And I guess maybe props for that, not having them, actually have that pan out. But
what's the opposite of Chekhov's gun? Because they presented the loaded gun, but just said no, we're not going to shoot it.
But they did massive reshoots for this and re-edit after re-edit from what I've heard, and yet still it did not come out to be anything compelling, at least for me personally.
No.
It looked nice on a big screen where I got to see it. I was in the IMAX for it, and there weren't a lot of people in there, so I can't say I was very surprised. They're all seeing Tom and Jerry or something probably. So
I mean, it's a neat premise, like seeing somebody's thoughts and being able to hear it, and like the way that they had like the cloud, and you could see what he's saying or see what he's thinking, whatever. It's neat, but after a certain while, it's like, what are you going to do with that? All right, that's cool, but now what?
Yeah, and also Holland's character, his inner monologue was so erratic and all over the place. I'm like, my mind doesn't work that way. But, I don't know.
Well, not all like you, Fuego.
Yeah, it was just overkill, and it didn't really do too much. It was boring. It was a boring film, regrettably.
Yes, I agree. Neat premise, neat idea, but the execution.
Were there undertones of anything? I would think when I first heard about the the setup of it, it seemed like it was a whole thing of men and being able to see their thoughts versus a woman there for the first, seemingly the first time and stuff like that. Was it just kind of also shallow? Did it not even kind of play into that?
Yeah, I mean, there's obvious subtext about like inflated male ego and machoism and things like that, without really getting into when you discover what this particular like colony of men did, and when it's a reveal you get later on because you think they're the only colony there, and this is where I'm dancing around, not trying to spoil stuff. So yeah, there is a message, about the necessity of respecting the other sex and whatnot. But I mean, it was shallow in the fact that it didn't become as much of a part of the narrative as I think it should have. So
so I'm fascinated by this gimmick of people's thoughts being projected. Like that's one of those things that you hear it and you're like, why didn't I think of that? So like, did they overuse it? Did they underuse it? Did it get annoying? Like, was it like just like a constant thing? Did it come in and out? Like how was that?
The effects of it look cool, but that's the thing. It does wear out its welcome, and it becomes, at least for me, annoying once you get about 30-something minutes into the film.
Oh, that quickly?
Yeah. It's a cute gimmick, but it wears out. It's just like, and sometimes not to nitpick a cute premise, but sometimes I don't think in complete thoughts. Like it's just like bread. I don't think in stories.
I was hoping that they would do things like that. They would have some guy in the background be like doo-dee-doo-dee-doo. There's like a carousel going in his head or something, and then there's like a loud noise, and suddenly the carousel explodes or something like that. But they don't go that far. Oh,
that's funny. Okay. That would have been nice.
Okay, well,
did it take itself really seriously?
I'd say for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, I'd wait for home release at the most. I mean,
I was amazed it's not streaming anywhere. Like it feels like a movie that should be streaming in theaters, right? Oh, Paramount? It's on Paramount? Oh, well, never mind.
No, give it another 20 days and it'll be on Plus.
Yeah,
I'm with
woof,
you. Okay,
woof.
Okay. Well, in 15 days, I will give my thoughts in on this movie.
Same.
We'll have a sequel episode.
Again, talking about Chaos Walking Part 2. Lindsey, while we're on you, you watched something that we talked about a while ago, and I think you're the last. Chauncey, did you see Run, Hide, Fight?
No.
Okay, all right. So we're just going to slowly trickle to the end.
I did listen to Ben Shapiro last night for something. But
did you want to torture yourself? What did you do that for?
I was listening to him on Joe Rogan and the topic they were going over.
So there's the segue, Lindsey.
Well, first of all, Chauncey, don't save yourself the trouble. Just don't do this to yourself. Secondly, man, I don't even know where to start with this movie, because like watching it was a weird experience, because it's like parts of it are well made, but then other parts, like I could tell where like a sound file ended and another sound file began, and like I'm not going to pretend like I'm like the greatest sound editor of all time, but that's something I strive for in my YouTube videos. Like I mess it up, I do, but like if you're not even at that level, like what are you doing? And then there's like one of the final shots of the movie, like someone's like sniping someone, and like we get the sniper scope like this, but then the moment where they're shot, it's at like an upward, like diagonal from the ground up at them angle, still through the scope. And I'm just like, how do you make a mistake like that? The person sniping didn't suddenly crouch down right in front of them. But anyway, I'm getting distracted with minor nitpicks here. The acting was very good. I'll try to be nice for a minute here. Like, I'm being serious. Like the cast was great. Like Thomas Jane's always good. What's her name? Who played the mom, Rada Mitchell, who was in like Silent Hill. She was pretty good. And the lead actress was actually quite good. If this movie doesn't tank her career, she could actually have a pretty good career in some action movies. I think she could be a next Jennifer Lawrence again if she survives this.
Yeah, they'll have their own little wing of whatever. They have their own studios at this point, so
that's true. Oh,
her and Gina Carano can make movies.
Me too. And I was just about to say
that's one.
And I'm going to talk about the studio behind this movie in a second here. But this movie is like, like you said, CP, you didn't really find it too political, but like there was so much going on inside of it that was like either confused, so it didn't really know what it meant. Like the guy who's leading this, because this is a movie about a school shooting. Like the story is this teenage girl lost her mom. She lives with her dad, who's ex-military, and takes her hunting all the time. The movie opens with them going hunting a deer, and they actually did kill a real deer on set. I don't know how that's legal.
Which I only just found out now. So
yeah, same.
I did the legwork for this movie before we hopped on here. It's a horrible movie. Don't watch it. Don't support it. Fuck the Daily Wire. Yeah, again, like there's some good moments. Like there's an action scene where someone hides in a classroom full of balloons. Which I thought was a clever idea.
Yeah.
I think they didn't use it enough. Like I feel like they should have used the balloons more, but it was still kind of a cool concept because like the shooting's happening in the school on senior prank day. So you know that allows them to do some kind of interesting things. And there were some kind of decent action beats. Like I'm not going to completely knock like the filmmaking, just the script and the fact that again, like this is a movie that's very right wing. At least it read that way to me.
Really,
like they're constantly saying things like woke and triggered and oh, see, it's so easy to build a wall, but then like it's really confused because the bad guy's saying them.
Yeah, wouldn't you think that's they're taking slights at both sides? You know, it's easy to build a wall is a slight against right wing, isn't it?
I guess, but then like there's also the fact that like the police are completely incompetent in this, like to the point where they make the police in Die Hard look competent. and then there's like parallels to like real school shootings. There's two of them. There's one with Columbine where they go to the Christian girl and ask her about how she feels about God while there's a guy with a gun pointing in her face. That's a direct reference to a thing that actually happened in Columbine. And then they do a direct reference to the Parkland shooting, and that the security guard for the school, he runs away from the shooting, but he's a horribly coward who's tripping over himself and peeing all over himself and begging for mercy and going out of his way to not help the kids. So I'm like, is this a non-political movie, or are you directly referencing real things in order to prove your point that you need to be able to take care of yourself and you need to be armed in schools? Like, very confused.
Lindsey, if you're going to say that this is a right-wing movie, then having a security guard, if this were in my head, if the right wing were going to go ahead and make a school shooting propaganda movie, the hero would be the security guard. Good guy with a gun saves the fucking day.
Okay.
Well, and I mean, I would also contend that portraying law enforcement as being inept and poorly prepared and stuff like that, that's not so much a super right-wing thing to do.
Yeah,
they want to portray law enforcement as being, virtuous and all this other stuff.
Right.
Well, it depends on the context. And in one context, the right wing loves the cops, and the other context, they hate the cops. And in this
January
context,
6th, they hate them.
Exactly.
Well, they've hated them before too. I mean,
right.
it depends on. I mean, the right isn't necessarily a monolith, but one of their main things is the idea of gun rights, my right to take up arms, my right to a militia. That's a lot of times there are sections and segments of the right who look at the cops as the defenders of the government. More so than defenders of them. So I'm not surprised that this movie would have it so that the cops are inept, because at the end of the day, some of them think they're, kowtowing to the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that. And it's, I can see how it's still right wing.
I'll say it's right wing confused, because there's moments where it's definitively, at least for me, pushing that kind of stuff. But but then also the bad guys saying, "Oh, let's build a wall." So it's like, so
I guess my point is, like, it's blurry enough that it's not like, if you pop in, what the hell is that abortion movie?
Oh, Unplanned.
If you pop that in, the message from jump, like, know what they're trying to tell you. This movie, like, it's at least baked into the batter enough where it's like, all right, let me just watch some bizarre action movie. Like, I wouldn't put it in the same category as God's Not Dead. I don't think it's heavy.
It's less overt, but it's still there. Like it's still like that's such a specific thing, to have the security guard be a coward and make everyone kind of fend for themselves. Like, that's such a that's so recent. Like, that's but it's inescapable.
I don't know, but if I'm making a right wing propaganda pro gun movie, I'm not having anybody that I'm trying to argue for be a coward. I'm not, if they're trying to say armed security guards,
sorry to cut you off, but the right wing talking points on these, and I shouldn't generalize, but I'm going to generalize. I'm sorry. These are straw man arguments. Just kind of go with us here for a minute. They don't want security guards in schools. They want to arm the cops, not the cops. They want to arm the teachers. They want to arm the staff. They want to arm the kids. They don't want cops there. They want the people everyone in the school to have guns.
Well,
that's why they portray him as a coward.
So to take that point, there's teachers that are afraid and run away. So like, it's the same thing. If whether it be a teacher or a security guard, you would think if this were a super propaganda right wing machine, they would be fucking heroes. Like, they'd save the day and not be scared.
Well, then you're coming across the other again, straw man. I apologize, but the other right wing talking point of academia is liberal leaning and weak wristed and all that. So it's like the movie's trying to say things, but they're at odds with like the beliefs of the people that make them. It was a very odd experience just to watch it. And then there's like the scene with like the Spanish teacher. And like,
the nude scene is so weird. It's so fucking weird.
Although it cut away, which I was very appreciative. So it didn't make it gratuitous in that regard, because they didn't actually show her breasts.
But they
sure?
I'm pretty sure. They cut away right as he had her taking it off. So
it was just a weird scene. Like,
it was completely unnecessary.
I agree. I agree with that.
Honestly,
and like they did something weird with like the light from a window where they like bent it. And like post to try to cover things up more. It's just like, just
somebody focused on this scene really hard.
Yeah, huh? and then like, again, when I was reading up on the production of it, one of the guys that like behind the company that made this, because the Daily Wire just distributed it. They didn't make it. The movie was already made. Just Daily Wire was like, oh, well, we'll get this out there. But the company that did make it, Cinestate or something like that, it's the guy. He has huge.
It's Zoller's company. The guy who did Dragged Across Concrete, Bone Tomahawk. It's all that.
Craig that's Craig
Taylor, whatever. Yeah.
Well, there's another guy from that company, Adam Donaghy, who has a huge laundry list of sexual allegations against him and weird things like that. Women were constantly walking off the set of this movie. I think 2 assistant directors just abandoned ship, and a third one had to be brought in, who was quoted after the fact as saying some really sketchy shit happened on the set of this movie. And again, they killed a real deer. So why? Oh my, we're talking about this movie so much. It's horrible. It's horrible.
I mean, to be the closest thing to a right wing guy on this panel here, if we're gonna talk about production like that, then why didn't we talk about this stuff about Bohemian Rhapsody?
Oh, we did at the time. We definitely did.
Did we? All right, I don't remember.
Well, I mean, we talked about Bryan Singer being a
Brian,
creep.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We have talked about Singer's exploits before.
I feel like if we're going to talk about creepy sexual people in movies, we should really be fair about it because Hollywood's fucking.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about how Woody Allen's.
How the hell
evil?
is he still working? Yeah,
that's a very good question, my friends. And others as well that were allowed to go on for decades without anyone saying anything.
Spacey, unfortunately, despite being uber talented. So yeah, stinks.
Whedon, Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon. Yeah, that was a slap in the face to me too, because we
should have known he was like that when he was like a proclaimed "I'm so feminist" dude. Like any dude that's really all about that, a lot of the time, it's suspect.
Trying to protect him.
No, put me on blast up in here.
No, not you. You know what I mean? Like the ones who are like they will explain feminist to you.
Right.
Like, I'm more feminist than you are as a woman. And it's sus. It's so sus. And he's and certain things that he started doing in the later seasons of Buffy, you knew it was sus. And it was just like, okay, there's something weird going on with this writing.
Buffy should have ended after season 5.
It really should have.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Fuego. Sorry about
that. No. I was just going to make a probably in poor taste an analogy here, but Whedon and that sort of stuff is almost the equivalent of Jay and Silent Bob hanging out in front of an abortion clinic trying to pick up chicks.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
I went there. So.
Yeah. No, that's very much been said. That's kind of the atmosphere he would put forth on the sets and stuff, allegedly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Allegedly,
I'm not trying.
What we're talking about. Sure.
That's how you know Chauncey's a journalist. She said allegedly, guys. She covered herself.
So a quick segue, Chauncey. What did you do in the meantime? Did you watch anything that? Have we spoken to you about WandaVision since? Yes.
Yeah, we talked about that the last one. I did watch. I think I mentioned I was going to watch Stay Out of the Attic on Shudder.
Yeah,
and that came out, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, a Nazi villain type situation, and it was, it was surprisingly way better than I thought it was going to be. I thought, because I've seen those movies where it's like, oh, there's something going on in the house, and, just a body count. But they really, even with the small cast, made everyone really drew out the characters and made you care about people, which I think raises the stakes in a horror movie, that you actually care about the people who might be potentially getting killed and things. And it was just cool. The gore, I'm not even big on gore like that, but the gore wasn't gratuitous. Actually enjoyed that too, the way it was played into it and stuff. So yeah, I did a review of that and I really enjoyed it. I'm doing a review of Slacks tonight. That will be premiering on Shudder this Thursday, which deals with killer genes.
Yes, I was hoping you'd say that. That's amazing.
Yeah,
and I'm very excited. I love movies like that, I'm excited to check. I was gonna actually watch it over the weekend, but I'm excited to check it out tonight for sure.
You haven't watched it yet?
No, I haven't watched it yet. It comes out officially to the public on Shudder on Thursday. Okay. So I want to let people know, kind of like I did for Staying Out of the Attic. So really enjoyed it. And I watched Lucky, which is currently on Shudder. I didn't hate it. Mm-hmm. But I think it was a mixed bag in terms of it got really heavy on symbolism. I think you would hate it, CP, because I think just knowing it got so heavy on symbolism and
Christmas level heavy.
Maybe even more so a little bit with the idea, not in a pretentious way, but the way the setup was, because it deals with this woman who's a self-help author, and she's dealing with this killer, because it says it in the trailer. She's dealing with a killer who basically keeps showing up no matter how much her and her husband killed the killer. The killer keeps showing up, and she keeps having to deal with the cops, and they don't listen to her. And there's a whole thing of this question of victimhood and how women aren't believed and things like that. There's themes like that, gaslighting, which is actually pretty good the way it sets it up. I explained that I felt like it would have been great as a Twilight Zone episode, which would have made it, it was like 89 minutes. I felt like it could have been like an hour, if that, to get the point across, because it gets really heavy on symbolism, but to the point, especially towards the end, where it's like, okay, we get it. Even I said that. I was like, okay, I get it. But what's the payoff here? But it was really well acted. I actually called it abstract horror. Okay. In my review, I was like, is that a thing? Like, where it's like expressionism, where it's not really like always grounded in complete reality and things. So, it's one of those things where I think I'd be curious to see what you guys think about it.
Yeah, I saw them both. I actually saw Lucky way back last April, and I started watching it a week or so ago, and I was like, oh, I've seen this already. And once I remembered the premise and the loop-de-doopness of it and stuff, I actually think I'd like Stay Out of the Attic a little bit more, but I had just watched something called The Devil's Rock, which is another evil Nazi sort of film, and so maybe I was a little more judgmental of it because of that, since I just literally for a patron watched something with similar kind of leniences and stuff. But I thought the cast was especially good. Performances in that movie, solid. Story itself, especially as it panned out, it felt a little predictable. And but,
is it Stay Out of the Attic or Lucky?
That's I stay out of the attic. Lucky, I just wasn't too big on. So
did you think it was abstract horror, like this idea of really heavy symbolism?
A bit of it. I mean, maybe not on the first watch did I think of that sort of thing, because I mean, it was during Chattanooga back in April, and so it was one of those where I watched like 5 or 6 films in a day. And I'm sure if you guys have been to any of those sort of festival situations, whether virtually or in person stuff, when if it doesn't really differentiate itself, it just kind of melts together, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It was funny. After I gave my review of Lucky, I didn't realize, I need to look at the credits a lot more often sometimes before I look at some of the people who do FX and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I didn't really, especially, and I would give a thing for Stay Out of the Attic. People should stay through the credit scenes, because it kind of does a Marvel sort of post credits. There's like 2 post credits that actually really make sense for the movie. But actually, because I gave Lucky a C+, and then I found out a friend of mine was the producer. And I didn't look at it. I didn't even notice. And they hit me up. They was like, well, thanks for, the feedback. Love what you do. And, and this person is someone, I really, I respect him and things like that.
Sure.
And it was so interesting, because I'm like, well, at least people know it's like I'm not in anyone, like I'm going to give a balanced view.
Yeah, don't hold back.
And I even said it. I was like, I loved, some aspects of it, but other aspects were bad. And, and I love it when someone can do that, and he actually replied, he's like, no, I really appreciate this feedback, because, it was my first time producing something like this. And I, if we, do our job, that we could do. And I'm like, see, that's good. Like, you don't vilify the critic or whatnot. So I appreciated that.
Any person who's creative should appreciate notes and constructive criticism more than, positive attention, because like how can you build off of that was good? You can't really do anything with that. If even if you made Avengers Endgame, you still want to know where did I screw up so that I could fix for next time.
Yeah, and that's where you have to have thick skin and humility. Sure. I mean, these things are definitely imperative to improve your craft. So
yeah, I agree. This image is not loading. Does anybody have the Oscar nominees in front of them?
Oh, I have them.
Yeah, I got around to
Okay.
You go ahead. I'm still looking through it.
Okay. Fuego, do you have it in front of you? Do you want to?
I have it popped, locked, and loaded right now.
Okay.
I'm actually still planning to do like a full category by category sort of thing.
Well, let's stick with the 5 biggies. The picture, director. Yeah,
and it's cool because this is the first year in maybe ever for me that I've seen every single film in all the major categories, and a lot of stuff that I felt should have been nominated, like, Delroy and Five Bloods and stuff like that. But it was a really packed crowd this year, and so there were snubs and stuff. But as far as What? So just acting? You think maybe not even mess with screenplays or anything like that?
Yeah. Screenplay. I haven't seen many, but Chicago 7 should probably win that. Is what I'll say. And that's only from seeing that. But
yeah. So OG, the original screenplay as opposed to adapted. Trial of the Chicago 7, Sorkin's, as you mentioned. Sound of Metal with Riz Ahmed.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's damn good, man.
Yeah.
It's damn good. Promising Young Woman, which I think got 6 nominations, was really celebrated. Minari, which I saw, I think 2 weeks ago when I was last on with you guys. I was going to see Minari. It's a delightful film. Although I still feel like it's more so about the relationship of the grandson with the grandmother than it is Steven's character. But it's just a feel good movie, man. Really, really. Will leave you happy. And then Judas and the Black Messiah, that was very, very well nominated as well. Jumping to Best Supporting Actress, which is one that a lot of people are curious about. So we had the grandmother from Minari, Jean.
Careful, Bill Burr.
I know. I'm butchering it. I'm in the same boat as him, unfortunately. Amanda Seyfried for Mank. Olivia Colman for The Father. And I just saw The Father this past weekend, and it didn't go to wide release until...
That's Hopkins, right?
It's Hopkins, and that is a soul-crushingly sad movie because it's dementia, but told from the perspective of the person who's actually experiencing it. And characters are not who you think they are, and it's definitely not something to spoil, but damn, is that movie it packs a punch.
Have you not seen Still Alice with Julianne Moore?
I guess I have not.
That's a very similar. She has some form of dementia, and
I remember that.
Yeah,
2003.
Irony.
No.
Terrible joke.
So Olivia Colman, who won a few years ago for The Favorite, she's nominated again, albeit in the supporting category. Then Glenn Close gets another nomination, despite the fact that Hillbilly Elegy has had Razzies for this year. I think 2 or 3 of them it was nominated, but she got nommed. So and then
she gets it on principle.
Yeah,
which I'm fine with.
I guess.
Yeah, it's like what's her name getting for Into the Woods, right? Oh goodness.
Meryl Streep.
I almost said wasn't it Glenn Close? I'm sorry.
I confuse them sometimes.
I do too.
Sometimes I mean.
Yeah. And then lastly for the supporting ladies, Maria Bakalova for Borat.
She's got to win. She has to win.
I hope so.
Yeah, that'd be great if she did.
It would.
I know they're not great about giving awards to comedic performances, but there is a track record for giving comedic performances in the supporting role of the bit. So give it to her. Just do it. Like Marissa Tomei and I had a second one. I swear I did. There is one.
If there's a year to do it, do it this year. And then nothing really big happened. Just come on, do it. Do the hero story this year.
Right.
Fuck it. You got nothing else going on. Go.
Also, Borat was the movie we all needed. It wasn't the movie we wanted, but we all needed that movie.
Exactly.
Do you think it's interesting that with Judas and the Black Messiah that that there's no lead guy?
That was the next thing.
Oh yeah, good point.
Where both of them are just gonna compete. I mean, because I don't exactly know how it works. I think they have to submit themselves for this stuff, right? They're not just picked randomly. Right. Yeah. So I feel like Lakeith, I heard that he basically submitted for supporting. Because I know sometimes it's political, right? It's like, well, I don't think I'll get the big actor. I don't think I'll get the main actor one. So I'll go for supporting because I might have a better chance in that regard. But
the studios do that, don't they? Don't they?
Yeah. Maybe the studios also, play. Maybe he didn't have, but the studio, someone made the decision on the end of the talent to submit. But I just thought that was interesting. I'm like, why didn't one of them go for the lead?
Right.
Like, that's kind of weird.
Sure.
I mean, they both got support. Isn't it weird? It's like there's only 2 main guys in this film.
I agree.
See, I could have sworn I read in THR yesterday that they did put Stanfield in for lead, but he didn't get enough lead votes or something, and so that's why he ended up in the supporting category.
Weird.
But there's worry that they're going to cancel each other out, and
and then they wonder why people call foul in certain situations. I mean, sometimes it's justified. It's like, y'all really gonna do this? You can't. One of them can't be the lead. How does that work? Yeah, no, I agree with Jacob. Like, yeah, I'm kind of confused. Like, I was like, wasn't he the lead in this? Like, and it's like, but if you think he's good enough for supporting, how would he was the lead?
Yeah,
like that's a little bit of an insult.
It's told from his perspective, and I mean, as great as Kaluuya was, I thought Lakeith was honestly far more impressive just with the nuance and. I mean, he is the Judas in the movie, as you see from, all of he's the mole, and his performance, as great as, Daniel was, I was a little more impressed there. So
I could have swore, like, listen, I might have an antiquated version of how things were done, but I could have swore it was like stage time, like how much screen time you had dictated whether or not you were a lead or a supporting, but
there's only two guys.
Or how many lines? Like I don't know.
It's gonna be a scene where there's a chair. I don't remember that, so I'm pretty sure. This is kind of weird.
Aaron, nothing to say, just $20. Thank you, Aaron.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so
much.
Yeah.
So rounding out supporting, though, we already mentioned our two great performances from Judas and the Black Messiah, but then we also had Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, Paul Rossi, I believe, for Sound of Metal. So that was the guy who actually ran this home for recovering people who are attempting to learn sign language and adapt to the loss of their hearing. So.
He was really good. I like that movie a lot. I don't think it's going to win Best Picture because I'm pretty sure it's going to win Best Sound Editing. But damn, is that a good movie? Like, if it wins both, I'll be oddly happy. I don't know when I want to win Best Picture, but if it gets both, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
What's the difference between sound editing and sound mixing?
I don't know, and actually, now that you're mentioning it, I think it might be sound mixing for this one because it's the blending of the sounds together as opposed to just making it all sound good in unison. I always get those mixed up. I'll Google that right now because I should know that. I'm trying to get better.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention during sound in school, so I'd fucking.
You weren't listening.
I actually think this is the year where they finally combined it into one category because as I'm looking at the article here, there is just a best sound now because I know they used to have that sound design and then sound editing, so it's just one category now.
Yeah, multiples in the same. I was like, what? How do you know what the difference is?
Yeah, I never knew what it was either. Yeah. To be fair. And then
in
lastly,
essence, go ahead.
Oh no.
I just found a quick quote here. In essence, sound editing is the collection and placement of all the sounds from a project. Without editing, you just have sound from the set. Mixing is the blending of all the levels and the tonality of the sound, the dialogue, and all that stuff. So yeah, it would be sound mixing if they were two separate things for Sound of not Sound of Metal. It should be all of them. Just give them all. Give it all the sound awards.
Great. And then, lastly, in the supporting was Sacha getting a nom for Trial of the Chicago 7. I thought he was terrific in that film.
That is what he should be nominated for, not Borat.
Not Borat, no. And I mean, especially the fact that Borat, lots of people were arguing about the fact that they shouldn't have nominated it for, I think it was adapted screenplay, because of the fact that there's so much improvisation. Like, it's just a little weird to tackle it in that regard. So,
yeah.
Did
you do leads?
That was the next thing I was jumping to.
Okay.
And, so lead actress, we have Carey Mulligan, Promising Young Woman. We have Frances McDormand for Nomadland. We have Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman, which have any of y'all seen that film? Watched it a few weeks ago on Netflix. I thought her performance was good, but the movie as a whole, I mean, I wasn't that blown away by it, but guessing that's a no from everyone. Pieces of a Woman?
No. I just saw Nomadland last week, and it was okay.
Yeah,
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't fall in love with it, but perfect year for that kind of movie, I guess.
That cinematography though was just
it's pretty.
That's the thing that I like.
I could honestly talk about Nomadland for a while just because like the weird way that it approaches the story and like just like Frances McDormand like was so like there's something about her like I've seen that person so many times and that person has like both annoyed me at work or like it weirded me out just like the it was just such a very clear character, and there's a lot of really touching, very small, very real moments in the movie. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and it's actually kind of weirdly anti-capitalist because it's all about this entire all falling apart,
sort of.
And then like people trying to survive outside the system. Like it's just an interesting movie.
I had an anxiety attack. Somebody sick, like really badly sick in this movie, and it horrified me. Like when somebody living in their van got really badly sick, and I was like, oh no, this is horrible. I was with the idea for a little bit, and then can't care for myself. That's terrible. I don't like this at all. It's fucking shook me to my core.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there is also an anti-establishment aspect to the narrative as well. So we don't have to be a part of society. We can go it on our own. But that's obviously one of the possibilities if you do. So it's crazy. Okay, last two actors though. Sorry, I'm stalling y'all. Viola Davis, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which Ma Rainey's Black Bottom not getting a Best Picture nomination definitely surprised me. And then lastly, Andre Day to U.S. versus Billie Holiday, which that's kind of my favorite in this category personally. I think she's going to take it just like she did.
I agree.
But because that's I mean it's not a great movie. I had some issues with the script, but her performance is lights the fuck out, man. She is so good. So that's my.
Do we make predictions for the other ones?
Oh no!
I mean, have at it, guys. Please do.
Well, I think for actress and leading role, I agree with you, Fuego. I think it's going to be Andre. I think they're going to give it to Chadwick for leading actor.
Mm-hmm.
Did we get there yet? Hold on.
We didn't get to it yet, but
Okay. For supporting, I think. Wait a minute. Yeah, for supporting, I think they're going to. I hope they give it to Maria Bakalova. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, hoping is kind of where we all are, but it's
because I feel like they'd also kind of, I don't know if they want to necessarily, how the Oscars, they're pretentious sometimes. There's just certain things that they just don't want to there's just certain things they don't want to. I mean, look, we got Black Panther, right? At one point. And I remember Chadwick, God bless it. So, it was when they lost, he looked back at Michael B. Jordan and was like, like, they know we should have won something, but they ain't gonna give it to us. And I'm like, darn right, that was a great film. But it's even with this one, I think the Oscars might have a thing where they don't want to give it to that kind of film, am I making sense? Like, I don't she should get it, but I don't think they'll give it because of
it's too mainstream.
Well, because of the movie, the way the movie's very silly and at times and
stereotypes.
It's not very artistic.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The pretentious, like, it's not artistic. It's
I just look at Glenn Close and do not want, like, I will be upset genuinely if Glenn Close or Amanda Seyfried, whatever. I didn't like Mank very much, honestly. I did not like Mank. I thought it was just kind of dull, man. And it was the most nominated. I think 10 nominations for this movie.
Yeah, because they're trying to make up for their fuck up with Citizen Kane. Sorry, just because it's about Citizen Kane doesn't mean you get to make amends for your fuck up 70 years ago. It's
just the kind of movie, man, that I feel like the Academy is in love with these sort of old school Hollywood sort of films, and I enjoy them at times, but I mean, and Amanda's performance did not wow me at all. It's Gary Oldman's movie for sure. Coleman is great as a father, but it's really Anthony Hopkins' film. I think they might pull a fastball, man, and they may give it to the older woman from Minari who plays the grandmother, and she is fantastic in it. I don't know. Minari is like a strange dark horse, and where we know what they did with Parasite last year. It's obviously there were so many fantastic just black-led films in this. I feel like this is more of a year for recognition in that department, personally. Although there isn't a woman of color in this category aside from the Minari actress. So I don't know. I would love to see her get it, but we'll see. So.
Lead male.
So lead actor, we got Riz Ahmed, Sound of Metal. Got the aforementioned Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's, which is my personal pick. Hopkins, who is terrific in The Father, Gary Oldman for Mank, and then Stephen Yeun for Minari. He's great, but I do feel like once again it's more about the dynamic of the young boy with the health problems and the grandmother, and that's really the driving force, at least for me, a little more so. Has anyone seen Minari besides me?
I have not. I've got it back there as a screener, so I don't have an excuse, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah.
What's funny is both me and my dad are both in SAG, so where you have just two mountains of screeners. Right
well, why don't you gloat about it?
I might. Anybody want a screener? I'll send it out to you. Just I got them to spare.
They were talking about Chadwick for a while, like even before he died, if I'm not mistaken. So like he's been the front runner for a while. Mm-hmm. I love Gary Oldman. I don't think this is his movie. He's done incredible work in the past. I don't think this is his time.
Honestly, the way, because Ma Rainey is a play that's adapted into a movie, you see this a lot where his plays they're so dialogue driven, they're so word heavy, and it's because it's just the nature of the beast. It's how it goes. I'm not trying to be critical. It's just how it is. So then when you translate it into film, you get these just really wordy, very talky plays that are just really about the dynamics of the characters bouncing off of each other, and it was goddamn flawless. I couldn't take my eyes off the movie. I wasn't necessarily always following each and every line of dialogue because sometimes it got a little reference heavy for the ages and stuff like that. But it's just the actors would shine through it, and just Chadwick was phenomenal in that movie. And it should have been nominated for Best Picture, but he's got my vote for. I don't know if it should have won Best Picture. That's a whole other debate, but at least recognize it. The fact that the whole movie is about his character being, hey, I'm going to make the money off of me. Other people aren't going to make the money off of me. This is going to be how I'm going to support myself, and I'm going to be in control of my own destiny. And then he dies, or no, I guess he doesn't die. He goes to jail and it ends his career. And the very last scene is a bunch of white people making money off of his movie. It's just and then it's that's how it is with Chadwick, because Disney's gonna be making money off of him for decades because of Black Panther. It's so good, it's so good.
Yeah, and it's cathartic to me as a musician because the internal power struggle dynamic, which is really fascinating, and also the fact that regardless of color, it's executives of that nature have been totally misusing those who are under their thumb, under contract and stuff like that, and just making massive amounts. And it's awful. Some of the stories I've heard from touring band friends of mine that are making, practically nothing, living in their vans. They got their shit in storage back home. And yet, the label, whether it's, merch cuts and royalties and all that other stuff, it's just such a despondent situation a lot of the time. It's horrible.
Mm. Oh, Sean, apologies. €2. Thoughts on Creed 3, Mr. T's son, please? No, it'd be silly. Is that a fact? Do we know that? Is it?
No, I think I heard a joke about that. I don't. That would be quite silly if it's true. Although, it'd be awesome if it's just Mr. T. They just CGI him to make him look young. I don't know. Okay, I'm being silly.
Oh yeah, de-age him, sure.
Yeah, de-age him, and just go for it.
Rhapsody says, surprise no love for Zendaya or John David Washington this year. What, from Tenet?
No, from Malcolm and Marie.
Zendaya wasn't even in Tenet.
Well, wasn't John David Washington in Tenet?
John
yeah,
David.
but we knew that wasn't going to get it.
Yeah, but they're talking about the black and white film on Netflix that they did called Malcolm and Marie, which is a fantastic movie. It's just another one of those dialogue-driven,
I haven't had Netflix
one-stop shop, great discussion, the ebb and flow of this kind of fracturing relationship. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I'm off the grid with the Netflix stuff.
Yeah. But I think it's Chadwick's to lose, really.
Yeah, like I said, they've been talking about him or his role for at least half a year now. Yeah,
there was even talk of a Best Supporting nod for Defy Bloods for him too, with him being in that. So
that's right, that was 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's just stacked this year. It really is.
It would be one of those things where it's like his last year he can get nominated, right? So it's I'm not going to say give it to him, but it's actually deserved to because he did a great job. So, these other actors have God willing, time.
Right.
Yeah, I
and
don't.
whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Careful with your words; you might regret it in like a 2 weeks.
well, I mean, like I don't know if Heath Ledger would have won for Joker if he were alive.
Mhm.
That's
So,
an interesting question. What year was that? 2008?
Oh, it was the 2008 movie season, probably the Oscars of 2009.
Okay, 2009 Oscars.
Because
I'll see what was going on that year.
Wasn't he up against a couple of heavy hitters? It's just I don't know. The Oscars love telling a story within the story itself. So
also ratings. Their ratings are low every year.
Sure.
So I think this would be in a more cynical way of saying that, also for director, Regina King wasn't nominated for, one of her actors were, and this was like her debut,
Miami, right?
Yeah, which is weird as well. It would have been, I think that would have also been historic because I'm not sure a Black woman director has been nominated before.
No.
Wow,
So.
really?
Yeah, and that's a category where I thought Spike Lee was going to get another nomination. I mean, the fact that there was like no love for Defy Bloods, maybe because it came out way back in June, and often the Academy just doesn't think about anything unless it's like released October onward or something, October, November, going into award season and stuff.
I feel like I was gonna say, I kind of feel like that's why Promising Young Woman's gotten all that buzz, despite it being kind of polarizing.
Yeah,
for plenty of people who don't care for it, but because everyone was talking about it in mainstream media, they hop on stuff, and so this was their movie to hop on, and I think that's why it's kind of getting as much accolades as it is, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not super big on that movie compared to a lot of people. I mean, it's well made, well directed. I just didn't love it like a lot of people.
It's a Promising Young Woman.
Promising Young Woman. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I still
Emerald Fennell, first time director. She got a nom in the best directing category.
But Regina King didn't.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like, come on. Come on.
Although it isn't, it is a relatively diverse, I guess, in the aspect that they've never had two women directors nominated in the same year. So that's cool. Chloe Zhao for Nomadland being the second one. Lee Isaac Chung for Minari. He got a nomination. David Fincher, obviously, everybody was expecting him. But the big surprise is Thomas Vinterberg for the Dutch movie Drunk, I believe, but it's called Another Round here in America. Mads Mikkelsen is terrific in that movie. I don't know if it deserved a Best Director. I mean, it's probably going to win Best International Feature, where it was also nominated. So that would have been fine enough. But yeah, there were other either Spike or Regina, I think, probably should have taken that slot instead.
Yeah.
Wait, I saw Another Round, or at least part of most.
Yeah. Is the poster him with like a Go ahead, Fuego.
Yeah, it's about these school teachers at like the high school level over in Europe, and they basically decide to do this experiment of maintaining like a specific level of intoxication throughout the entire workday. It's funny, it's dramatic, and they're putting together this lengthy like thesis and paper about it, and they're going to try to toss it out to distribute it after the fact. But great performances. It's got a lot of heart. It's funny. It's also has some serious dramatic beats too. It's a really good movie.
I think that's free on Prime, if I'm not mistaken, because I know I've had the opportunity to watch it and just haven't.
I watched it with a couple of friends as like kind of a movie night type thing, and sadly we eventually got distracted, but I really liked it. There was one point where I almost told my friends to shut up, and they're like, no, okay, I'll spend time with my friends. But I really dug it. I kind of wish I'd chosen a different way to have viewed it. It was a very fun little cute movie. Interesting. I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, and you have Mads dancing, which was apparently his career before he segued into acting, as he was a professional dancer. And he's got some moves, man. I'll give him that. So, yeah.
By the way, do you guys want to know who Heath Ledger was going up against the year?
Didn't know he was Irish. Happy.
Wait. Let me tell you, laddies. It's actually kind of. Oh wait, oh no,
it's tight, right? He beat a couple of studs.
I won't say I'll say the movies afterwards. I'll just say the actors. Josh Brolin Robert Downey Jr., Philip Seymour Hoffman, Michael Shannon.
Robert Downey Jr.'s Tropic Thunder, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think that was going to win, but that was a crazy performance.
Was Brolin No Country for Old Men?
Milk.
No, okay.
Oh,
really?
Milk.
Yeah.
But he wasn't on. I mean,
Sean
anybody,
Penn's
right? I was gonna say.
What the fuck is wrong with the Oscars?
It was supporting though, right?
It was supporting.
Yeah, if it was supporting, then Sean Penn would have been the lead,
Milk,
right?
yeah, the lead.
That was a
Yeah,
good movie,
all
but
right.
it was great because it was Sean Penn. He really carried that film.
Yeah, that's a rough category.
And I never saw Revolutionary Road. That was the Michael Shannon one, but it's Michael Shannon, so I'm assuming it was.
With Kate and Leo.
Sam Mendes, I want to say, directed that one. It's about the tumbling relationship.
You get to watch the lovers of Titanic fight for 90 minutes. Incredible.
I'm down.
It's fucking miserable, that movie.
Please tell me they're called Jack and Rose still. That'd be amazing.
I think his name is Jack in that movie, actually.
We got it again in Marriage Story, not with the same two actors. Pretty much that same concept of like this really hyperbolic argument between a couple, and everyone's just like in love with that kind of stuff. And it's just like, this isn't a good movie. Like, this is just people.
It's pain.
What is this?
Or if you watch like Nichols' movie Closer. With the love quadrangle going on, that's a rough watch.
That's brutal, that movie.
Yeah, Manchester by the Sea, that's another one that'll just crush your soul.
That one I did not watch. I did not watch Manchester.
It's another rough one.
I feel like the real, I wonder, because there was all the stuff about the Grammys and other, ones where Minari was kind of played and things like that with like the language and everything, and then you had the Grammys and people were debating about that. I wonder just how relevant are the Academy Awards?
That's a very good question.
Well, I don't think the thing is, I'm not gonna say I pride myself on not having seen some of these films sometimes because I just think a lot of stuff, I don't like Oscar bait films. I just don't like
I agree.
them. Because it's like I literally see the trailer. I'm like, this is literally just to win an Oscar. I know that's what it's for. I know who this audience for. It's not for someone to put out like, something that will actually reach people or something. And I find that a little weird. And then I feel like, I don't know, I feel like sometimes the Oscars is kind of like self-serving in a way. Sure. And I just wonder, I'm not gonna say I feel like it's a shame that it, because someone wins the Oscar, it's like, that's their way of being in everything. It happened with Jennifer Lawrence, unfortunately. And, she won everything. And then, suddenly she's plastered everywhere. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like you have this mysterious shrouded group. Even though we know, people in there because y'all, actors and stuff vote too, and things like that. But it's still kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I have issues with awards shows.
Well, it's like Jacob said it earlier that Mank got 10 nominations
10 nominations. The most closest was 6 for Promising Young Woman.
Yeah. Hollywood loves to suck itself off, and Mank is essentially it's just like, oh my God, wasn't Hollywood awesome? 10 nominations, let's go. And it's like, what the fuck? It wasn't that good, guys. Let's relax a little bit. Period piece. Oscar nominations, just
black and white, beautiful.
Yes, and you just know it's like okay, that's gonna win an Oscar or that's gonna be nominated, and then you just know there's other films like it's really great, but it's never gonna make it. I think that's why people were surprised about Black Panther when they got nominated. People were like, wow, we all know it was because they probably knew they were going to get shit with this all black cast making this great superhero movie, being able to cross over and it being ignored by the Oscars. They knew they weren't going to get away with that, So I don't know. Sometimes it's like, I like looking at it. I get invested maybe the night of with the Oscars, and then I get pissed sometimes depending on who doesn't win. Then I have to remind myself that it's like,
it's stupid.
Like what is this? This shouldn't determine anyone's career.
And the Golden Globes is the exact opposite. Like it's a bit more mainstream, but it's just silly. It's just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? What is this shit?
Sometimes the things that the Golden Globes put in categories for like comedies and musicals, I'm just like, really?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll watch the MTV Movie Awards this year. Maybe that'll get my shit in there.
That we need to make the MTV Music Awards the new Oscars. Get that hashtag going, chat. Let's make this happen.
Hashtag return the MTV Movieverse.
There's just the granddaddy left,
picture, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is another weird thing where they had the option of 10, and apparently starting next year, it's going to be 10 every time as opposed to the 5.
Oh no!
Yeah, so there's a mandate that's going through where there's going to be at least 10 nominations, and I would imagine that's to help these movies pat themselves on the back a little bit more so, and in turn they'll sell more digital rentals or whatever the hell. And so, but there was only 8 this year, so. We have
such a random number. Like, that there's something wrong with your system when you're nominating 8 movies.
You know what I'd like to see them do? If they're going to do at least 10, do 12 and 1 a month. Then watch the calendar scramble.
Yeah.
Watch some fucking Oscar get released in January because they want to shore up that January category. That's what they should do. 1 a month.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Fucking Sonic 2 next year. Let's go.
Yes. The Sonic 1 was robbed.
Yeah.
Wait, is that? It can't be called animation, can it? No. It's some.
It's live action CG hybrid. They'll make a whole new category. The Who Framed Roger Rabbit award.
Yeah, please. the normal people category. How about that?
They did. Weren't they debating that for a bit? Where it was going to be.
Oh yeah.
They were trying to do best film versus most popular film, and it was like
that category. Yeah, and they ended up getting away with it before they even saw it at any of these ceremonies.
I think. Yeah, because it kind of exposes, right, the fact that that some of these movies that are mainstream never get a chance to compete. They're immediately, written off, and they kind of told on themselves with that category.
Well, yeah, because Black Panther was a lock for that. Yeah. That was their like consolation prize. Like, all right, here, this is a category for Black Panther, and then they got the backlash. Like, oh, never mind. We'll leave it the way it is.
Wait, was Black Panther still in theaters when Infinity War came out?
Yes.
Yeah.
A couple weeks before.
I forgot about that.
Black Panther was February. Captain Marvel. Oh no, Infinity War, not Endgame.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Captain Marvel was at like the $2 theater by the time Endgame came out. But no, I think like Black Panther was still on like the main screen.
We talked about it because there was a kick. There was a kick up
I do remember that. Yeah. We kept, because we used to play the game back then. Like who was going to win the box office. So we kept talking about how Black Panther was going to get a huge boost.
Yep.
Oh, I missed that game.
It was a fun game.
Never bringing it back. Never.
Yeah. But I mean, speaking of box office, though, in interesting little tidbits is that, and this plays in with what Chauncey was saying, obviously, is that all 8 of these Best Picture nominations, they don't even combine for $20 million of box office.
It never is that case.
Yeah. This is especially bad, though, from what what I was reading. So these are very niche kind of movies in that regard, taking themselves too seriously, shit doesn't stink, that sort of thing. So
the movie for the art, and it's just weird to me. I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of this, it's almost, I don't want to say it's insulting to the wider public, but it's almost kind of like telling the wider public, you don't know what a good movie is. Yeah. So let us tell you with the Academy Awards, because the things you are making blockbuster hits aren't really what's good cinema. Yeah. And it's just like, what? I thought a good movie was a good movie that people wanted to pay to see.
Right. I worked at a I worked at a theater in Long Island that we had like all the art house shit. Like we get all the independent stuff, and the week after the Oscars, we get like half of the Best Picture nominees, and all these senior citizens would come in on Tuesday because it was half price for fucking seniors on Tuesday, and they'd come in and flood the theater for all the shit that was nominated. And it's like, what? You didn't like it now that it's nominated, you want to watch it?
Oh, it's Oscar nominated.
Yeah,
it's social. It's social engineering.
Yep.
It's literally social engineering. Let me tell you how important this movie is. That did not entice you when you saw the trailer, but now that you know it's Oscar, you should want to watch this. It's like out of here.
At the same time, though, when Mad Max Fury Road got nominated for Best Picture, I screamed.
It was good.
I got excited when what last year? What the fuck? The Korean movie. I really enjoyed that movie. I was shocked when it won. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. dreams can come true.
I adored Parasite so much.
Yeah.
And I
I
actually
think
just recently
Ball was
watched.
just a shock too, right?
Yeah, best director. Like it won international. Was like, all right, that's a given. But then it kept winning. I was like, wait, what the fuck's going on here?
And then he made his 2 Oscars kiss, and it
Yeah.
was just like the most adorable picture.
Yeah,
I love Bong.
yeah. So let's hurry up with this because I'm done talking about the fucking Oscars. Best picture.
So Judas and the Black Messiah, The Father, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of the Chicago 7. Predictions, everybody? It's a tough category.
It is. I don't think Chicago 7 is going to win. I don't think he's not even nominated for director, is he?
No, ironically not. Chaka Khan, no.
Yeah, I don't think Chicago 7's.
They're not going to give that to Netflix.
They're
not. They're not going to say a Netflix movie gets to be.
All right, so in that case, then you cross Sound of Metal off because that's Amazon, right?
Amazon Prime, yeah, right. and they would cross off Mank, obviously, too.
Right,
so
Netflix.
They're not going to give it to a streaming service.
Mank only because it's so Hollywood niche still has a chance. Yeah. But they'll probably begrudgingly not want to give it because of Netflix. So unfortunately, I think they're going to probably give it to Promising Young Woman.
Yeah, I would say give it to Judas or Nomadland personally. But I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm
going to say Judas and the Black Messiah, honestly. I think they're going to give Nomadland director and cinematography and such, but I just don't think it's deserving of winning Best Picture personally, but that's, art is subjective. So
that's going to be real weird if it did win Promising Young Woman because it's already tense online, because you have people, when someone says they don't like that movie, you have people jumping down their throat about it right now. And so I just feel like if it wins, it's going to be another Green Book situation where, and I say I like Green Book. I'm not gonna, but I never said it. I was like, I gave it a good review because I enjoyed it. I thought it was cute, but it's going to be one of those very polarizing. If it wins, people are going to come out the woodwork saying that movie shouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah, but they're gonna. The problem is they bring these extra little tidbits into the story, and it's like, no, it has. Please don't make it about social shit. Just critique the art and not the fact that it's a woman behind it. Just don't do that. Please don't do that. That's you're everybody's making it worse when they bring extra elements into the discussion, and it's
agreed.
I'm going to demonstrate the reason why I always failed the box office game, and I'm going to say Nomadland's going to win.
I don't agree. I just watched it, and I wanted to like it, but...
Well, this is why I always lost the game, because I go with my heart, not with the logical answer.
Yeah, I think Mank has a chance.
The cynical
in me
is the cynic in me saying Mank because, of course, Mank.
Like it's like is the only thing going again. I mean, I guess it's not the most popular movie, but like it's about things that the Oscars always like. I guess the only thing really going against it is the fact that it's from Netflix, right? So will the Oscars go there?
It's everything. Yeah. It's a period piece. It's black and white. It's about Hollywood. Like man.
Oscar
that's everything they wanted.
Yeah,
that's everything they wanted it to be, except the Netflix. And they might do it also because ratings, right? It'd be like, oh my gosh, this is going to cost so much talk about whether Netflix is taking over the movie game,
Scorsese's going to post another op-ed.
He likes good stories, though. Irishman was on Netflix, and it was amazing.
You're absolutely right. I take that back. Never mind. I take my joke.
He just doesn't like MCU movies.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking of those comments when we were talking about mainstream cinema versus the elevated nature of awards contenders and stuff like that.
Scorsese really makes even if you want to call his stuff snooty, it's still entertaining.
Oh yeah, I love his style. I loved The Departed even.
Wolf of Wall Street never felt like its length.
Yes, Wolf of Wall Street was so good.
Yeah,
there is, dare I say, like a popcorn aspect to the way he approaches his film.
And Tarantino, they crossed this bridge of getting everybody jacked up about it, and
I think that's why I don't dismiss some of the stuff he says sometimes, because, I think the internet wants to do it because they're like, oh my gosh, look at this old fogey telling us what's art. But I'm like, he literally made movies that were very much mainstream, like Godfather. Did he make Godfather? Goodfellas. He did Goodfellas. And it's just like, this is mainstream stuff. Like, there's things he did that probably people at the Oscars might have looked their face, their noses down on. So it's kind of like, it's not that when he's talking about certain films, I don't think it comes from a place of back in my day. I think it comes from a place of someone who, like Tarantino and others, were able to mesh a good plot line being mainstream but still a quality film. And I feel like he saw that more stuff is so mainstream that it lacks the quality of storytelling sometimes, because it's just about selling the toys or like a ride at Disney or something.
The Lucas model. And the modern mainstream way of making movies is planning your trilogy and planning your series, and like it's this really weird television era way of thinking. Like, all right, so for the third movie we're going to do this. Well, can you finish the first one?
Right?
Yeah, 5 Fantastic Beasts films. Let's do that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 6 avatars, because we've had one.
Oh, which that's a good segue away from the Oscars, because Avatar is once again the all-time worldwide box office champ.
That was beautiful, Fuego. That was beautiful. Did you see the art that the directors of Endgame had commissioned, where it's like the Avengers logo, but then it's getting snapped away, and because both Avatar and Avengers both start with A and V, it's like Avengers is getting snapped into Avatar. It's pretty cool, actually. If you can find it,
cute.
Look it up.
The Russo brothers, who did the Cherry movie, which
I did not like that movie. I watched it this past weekend, and it's very full of itself.
I stopped 40 minutes and I'm like, no,
nope. The story it's generic. It's not. The performances are kind of laughable at times.
It's flashy for the sake of flash's sake, and I don't know. You can't treat Iraq war and drug abuse with that kind of music video style of I don't know. Listen, I can acknowledge when something's pretentious and good, but this is pretentious but not good.
Agreed.
The prologue, part 1, part 2, get the fuck out of here.
Epilogue with no dialogue. Just walking around.
Yeah. Nope. Go back to the Avengers. You need to be babysat for your movies. It clearly appears to be that way.
It's funny seeing Peter Parker dropping F-bombs and stuff, but aside from that,
being a drug addict's like, that's weird. It's really weird. I don't like this.
Yeah.
And the love interest looked way too young. Like,
agreed.
She looked like,
made me uncomfortable.
Yeah. So anyway,
Avatar. Yeah, I found the timing of this re-release a little weird. I thought they would have waited till these mythical sequels were getting a little bit closer. But,
I agree. Well, it was China, right? China
specifically was
bustling right now with their open everything.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for the disease, China. Go ahead.
Can you say that?
Isn't that where it came from?
Oh geez.
No comment.
Swerve.
I'm not getting canceled.
Well, it was me who said it. I guess I should thank Europe. I guess technically, right? Didn't we get it from Europe?
Just thank the actual source, Trump. Just move on. Like, there's nothing controversial about that.
Nope.
It's just like
nothing at all.
No, it's actually Randy Marsh from South Park, because he had sex with.
I need to watch that episode so badly. I can't believe I put it off. Like,
I watched the vaccine episode too.
Is that the one where they're lined up to go to like
the
Walgreens?
Q episode?
Yeah. They went some areas with that one that I was kind of surprised about. Unfortunately, that just took me off guard, man.
Anything else as far as news? Sonic 2 was announced today or yesterday or something, right?
Started production, yeah.
Yeah, and the logo gives a bit of a hint of who's going to be in the movie, which is interesting.
Tails.
Yes, the 2 has Tails' tail in it.
Where's
cute,
Knuckles,
actually.
man? I want some Knuckles.
Well, maybe for 3.
But Tal at the end anyway, so we knew they were going to be in it.
Right, that's right.
It's not really a surprise.
Shit, a year ago feels like a decade ago at this point.
I was trying to be a goober, as I guessed.
So yeah, there was that. The Batman wrapped production finally after numerous amounts of delays from positive testing and stuff on set. But yeah, I guess they got the tweets and the photos on set saying it's a wrap and it's finally going into post, which is exciting. So just that much closer to seeing Matt Reeves' new interpretation, and with us being a couple days away from Justice League and saying adios to that iteration of Batman. So
and actually, on the subject of Batman, Chauncey told us about we'll get there a fan film. It's Easy to Die, or Dying is Easy. Dying is Easy. It's on YouTube. I quite liked it. Michael Madsen's in it because why not? It's pretty good.
It was good. I liked it.
It kept surprising me and throwing in more things.
The Joker was good. I was like, wow, this works. The actor that plays the Joker is the person that wrote and produced it. And I was like, all right, cast yourself, dude. I dig it. Like, if it works, yeah.
And they had the production values too. It looked very good. If you're looking for a fun film, go for it. Yeah.
Yes, CP. It looked good for a fan film. I don't know how. Does anyone know how much they raised on Indiegogo? Because I think that's what they
was $4K. I'll be the fan film shithead once again. The scope I felt wasn't big enough. Like a lot of the lenses that they used were there was too many tight shots. Like I really wanted to pull back a little bit with like there's a fight between Batman and Joker where like Joker's in a cell and it's just so tight. Like they give me a little bit of scope here, which I mean, it seemed like a lot of it was shot in front of a green screen, which if you don't have money, you don't have money. I don't know. I didn't finish it. I got up to the end of that scene. But yeah, I'll keep my mouth quiet until I watch the rest.
Obviously, there's some things, fan film asterisks, but it blew me. I was severely impressed. Its budget is somewhere between $75,000 and $100,000. Oh,
that's cheap.
Yeah,
that's really cheap.
Well, I mean that's what the Indiegogo raised anyway. It says raise $75,000 by 2,400 users, and then right below that it says $3,500 raised by 1,068 backers. But then it gives a date, so I'm not sure exactly what the exact amount is.
All right. Well,
it's somewhere around there.
Especially when you're doing shit on the computer, you don't realize how much that costs.
Or Michael Madsen.
Well, do you think it costs a lot today?
Yeah, he's doing like lifetime shark movies at this point, So, I mean,
he brought a sense of legitimacy to it. I'll definitely say that.
Chris Doherty was in there.
Who was Batman? Was Batman anybody? Because he filled it. Like he looked like
he was good.
He looked like a tank.
Wow, someone said Doug Jones is the Riddler in it. Damn, that's
Doug Jones is the Riddler. There were a few Doug Jones was in there because when he turned around, I was like, "There's Doug Jones."
I was like, "That's so funny." I definitely recognized him, but I didn't make the connection in my head. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. He's a sweetheart, man. Yeah, I've met him at a few conventions. He's great.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I think y'all didn't acknowledge Chris Doherty. I just said Chris Doherty.
Who's Chris Doherty?
Yeah.
He's a singer. He's like a famous. Y'all hate him.
He was like an idol or something, wasn't he?
Yeah. American Idol, fucking Daughtry. Isn't it Daughtry?
Daughtry, whatever.
Yeah, well, say his name right if you're gonna get me to recognize
kind of a southern rock country-ish.
Yeah, shaved head, right? Shaved head.
Yeah.
Who was he in the movie?
He was the guy that runs the asylum.
Oh, Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
Doctor Strange.
He very much looked the part.
Yeah. Huh. That was him. That's funny. I didn't recognize him.
Here, I'm looking at the fucking scenery and shit. I'm not taking anybody in. So what?
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Did you find out who Batman was?
Kevin Porter. Which doesn't have an IMDb page. Let's see. A Wikipedia page. Let's see if he has an IMDb page though.
So we skated past it really quickly. This is, by the time we talk to each other again, I'm assuming we'll have all seen Justice League, not Justice League.
Restore the Snyderverse.
Well, go ahead, Chauncey. Take it away. We were shocked that you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, closed mouths don't get fed. I didn't ask. For the screener, that's what happens. I didn't ask for it. But I'm excited for it. I think, this is, I made a video about how, Zack Snyder explained that this wasn't canon, or the only way that he was going to be able to do it is if he agreed with the studio that it wasn't going to be canon. But there is a chance now with it doing as well as it's, projected to do, and the buzz that they may retread. I feel like they may retread that and make it so it's the canon. Because why hold on to the tainted Whedon cut, right? Given all, new allegations came up, Deborah Snyder, Zack Snyder's wife, but also a powerhouse in her own regard and being his partner and putting out some great content. She even said that she had to report Whedon to the higher ups because an actor came to her about a situation, because they were still producers on it when they stepped away after that tragedy. They were still producers, right? Yeah, the Snyders were still producers, and so an actor came to her. She said, and she told Insider in an Insider interview that she had to report him as well. So there's just So it's like, why hold on to something so tainted? And honestly, comparatively speaking, it was kind of, I don't want to call it a flop because it did make like 600 million something odd dollars. But given that its budget was like 300 million, for a superhero film to only make double as opposed to triple and quad, it's why hold on to that? So I know some people are already claiming that it's going to be too long because there's 4 hours,
6 chapters.
6 chapters. But I'm excited because I think we need to restore the verse because we need something cohesive. I don't think he's perfect. I couldn't stand Batman versus Superman. I thought Man of Steel was good. I thought the Lois was miscast, but for the most part, I got where he was going with it. And I think right now the DCEU needs a cohesive vision. So
it's not too far-fetched to think that, if this is something that people want to see more of, I mean, they kind of abandoned that Batman. Aquaman, you kind of got to think about alternates for the lead female at the very least. So so there's that. There's this whole Joss Whedon thing. Wonder Woman has been going on from the same stem storyline anyway. So there's not.
She keeps happening like in her own little world. Too.
Yeah,
like her movies aren't very connected.
So it's not like it's too much to just go back and say, you know what, fuck it, we're just gonna retread onto this. At least I think I don't know. Well, I've heard good things. I've heard that it's quite better than.
Yeah, it's just interesting because a few months ago, Zack Snyder was saying, "No, I'm not doing any more after this. This is the final, bit of my interaction in this iteration." And then a day or so ago, he was like, "Well, I have ideas for
he's gonna come back."
Too.
And your friend said no, and then they said, "Well, how's 75 million sound?" And he said, "Oh, fuck it."
I think,
Dang it.
And like others are saying, like he is definitely, he created a tone that's very in contrast to MCU, which I think is good. DC with comics, it's, the storylines have been, I always felt like it was a little bit more of a grittier thing than what MCU sometimes does. Even though Marvel comics sometimes can be gritty as well. But in terms of like, when it goes on screen, DC has gone
more at home.
And so I feel like, Snyder has that aspect. And that doesn't mean he needs to be the person. He can be like Kevin Feige, right? Other people do the movies, but he kind of oversees where things are going and the bigger connection. So why not let Snyder do that? He's friends with I forgot her name, the one who did Wonder Woman.
Patty Jenkins.
He's friends with her, so it's not like it couldn't be a cohesive working thing, So I think we need it. It's very fragmented, and I think it's necessary right now if they want to go forward, especially with the Flash movie if it ever shows up. So
yeah. How many times has that been pushed back now? Sorry, what was that, CP?
Just thoughts. Snyder cut.
My big question is this still going to basically boil down to the story of big bad super strong guy from space with very rote dialogue trying to find space boxes on Earth. Like, if that's still basically the plot, I don't see how it's going to be like dramatically better. But at the same time, there does seem to be like a lot of the expanding upon the nightmare sequence and stuff like that. So
the movie's twice as long, isn't it? Like
over twice as long, because
yeah,
the first was like 90-ish minutes, right?
True, very, very true.
Like, take that movie and add another movie to it.
Yeah, and then I guess it ends on a cliffhanger. Is what I read. So that's
Awesome.
I want to be excited for this. I've liked more of Snyder's movies than I have disliked. I don't necessarily like the community around the Snyder cut, but you know, anytime an artist wins over someone who destroyed something artistic, ultimately I think we do all win in a way. I just don't necessarily know if it's going to be better. I think it's going to be fascinating, and I'm probably going to watch it 3 or 4 times, but I don't know if it's going to be better.
That's a lot of time.
And I'll actually, what am I saying? It's not going to be better. It's going to be better than Justice League. And I'm a Justice League defender. I still think it'll be better than Justice League. Will it be good? You know, it's like the Batman v Superman director's cut is better than the theatrical cut, but is it good?
That's a good point. It's better, but is it?
Yeah, because I've seen a large contingent of people praising this, but then I've seen some other people who were like, the runtime's not justified. It's really not that much different. So a lot of what Lindsey was just mentioning, those who have been a little more critical, saying pretty much just what he did. So.
Yeah, Cody, who has reviewed it, and I didn't watch his review. I had this in conversation. He said he watched it in 2 pieces, and it was better. Okay. He said DC fans are probably going to love it. So, Chauncey, get your salivation ready, and it better is better. Like is anybody really looking for
a masterpiece?
Yeah. I mean,
some people are. Some people are looking for the second coming of Jesus. And
some people are going to call it a masterpiece, whether it is or not, and some people are going to call it trash or not that great, whether it is or not. Because as Lindsey was saying, that there is a, there was a movement to get. It sounds weird for a movie, but there was a movement to get the Snyder cut out there, and for better or worse, people have judged that fandom for their zeal and things, and I think what we can expect for the rest of the week is I think you're going to see a lot of hot takes where there's people who I've already seen some of them where people who I know for a fact were already against the movie were ready to trash it. And so when they saw it, when they got their advance or whatever, they were ready to just kind of like crap on it. And it was kind of like, but like their review wasn't, it was like they were already ready to do it. Just like there's going to be people who are already ready to love it. So
on the opposite side of the spectrum.
Sure. Fuego, did we touch with you for?
I was kind of bouncing in and out, over the course of the time. I'm stoked about this film because of the fact that while I didn't really like BVS that much, I appreciated the ultimate cut where they added in all the Superman stuff with him going to Gotham. It felt like a much more singular vision and had the proper development for Clark Kent with that stuff. And I enjoyed Man of Steel. I mean, I haven't really hated any of these new DCEU, whatever they want to call it. So will it be a little long in the tooth? I'm kind of expecting that. But I even appreciate Sucker Punch to a degree. So I've liked pretty much everything Snyder's done,
Yeah, he's got an eye. I mean, his stuff looks fantastic at the absolute very least.
It's not as dumb as most Michael Bay stuff, at least.
Yes, it's a brilliant point.
Yeah.
I really like Sucker Punch because like there's the debate of did it work? Like I love
got a Man of Steel, didn't it?
I don't mean that in a critical way. Like I think Sucker Punch is a kind of fascinating movie to sit down and talk about. Whether it worked for you or not, like there's things in there to talk about, and you can say that about pretty much all of his movies. Except I haven't seen the owl one, so I can't comment on that. I do want to see it because I love owls and those owls look adorable, but I haven't gotten around to it yet.
I enjoyed Watchmen too.
Watchmen's very good.
Was Watchmen? It might have been Watchmen that I might have my comic movies mixed up. I think Watchmen got him Man of Steel, and Sucker Punch got him Watchmen, or vice versa. I don't have the time.
I don't know the time.
I have the memory of a goldfish. So
But Warner Brothers stood by him for a long time because, like, Watchmen didn't make that much money. It made back its budget, but not really anything on top of that.
That was a giant risk, though. Like
it was, but it was so good. Like there's so many great moments in that movie.
I just had to look. It was going to kill me, guys. So it was Dawn of the Dead. Then he did 300. That was his first comic adaptation. Then Watchmen was after 300. Then Sucker Punch. Then Man of Steel. So.
I had it right the first time. Damn it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Watchmen's great, man. That's actually one of my upper tier comic adaptations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not something I won't rewatch it a lot of like I loved it for what I saw, and I was like, I see what they're doing here. I see the way this plot line is, and I think maybe some people were going in there wanting something else, maybe not as familiar with the source material that they were going in to see, perhaps, which is why it kind of some people didn't like it, because it was very in your head kind of superhero. It's kind of, I feel like I've just started The Boys. I know I'm like way behind.
I'm not even behind you. I haven't even started it.
I just started The Boys, and I'm like, this is probably the way they wanted Watchmen to be, a little bit more flashy, a little bit more, but it kind of asks and answers in a way some of the similar questions when it comes to the world and superhero beings and stuff.
Anything else, Fuego? We're good for the week?
Yeah, not an immense amount, guys. I mean, it was pretty thin, at least as far as news and stuff goes. I guess the only other thing was today they dropped, there was a interview that Fede Alvarez did, who was producing this new Texas Chainsaw film that's coming later this year. And he mentioned that they're doing the Halloween sort of approach, where it is going to be a direct sequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So,
and he's producing it, not directing it.
He is producing, not directing it. If he was directing, I would have much more faith in this.
I agree.
Yeah. He actually has a new Apple TV series called Calls, I think, that debuts this weekend that I'm pretty stoked about. But it's apparently going to be Old Man Leatherface. And I'm like, well, they already did Old Man Leatherface. And I think it was the one with the Dario, if I remember correctly, the one that was in 3D. There was an old Leatherface. I don't see how this is going to be some fresh new spin or anything of that nature. I've never really been the biggest Leatherface fan.
I agree.
As far as, iconic killers and stuff go. I do really enjoy the first two films. First one especially because it feels like an exploitation film, and they presented it in that very realistic fashion. So that's the film that I still find effective, despite pretty much lacking gore for the most part. But no, I'm not too stoked on this, to be fair.
So. Right, I'm with you. Fuego, while you have the floor, anything coming up for you?
So I'm going to be dropping a not so much a review specifically of this new Pinocchio film that I just watched recently, but my love of the character and the story. It's kind of a comparison of the original Carlo Collodi source material from the late. It is the late 1800s, if I'm not mistaken. And so I'll talk a little bit about the Disney version, a couple other adaptations that I hold near and dear, including an Italian animated version from the 70s, and also some thoughts on the 2019 version that was released on Blu-ray today, and it's been available digitally for a few weeks. But I loved it. I thought it was great. It's probably the best representation of the character and all of its inherent shittiness, because whereas, Pinocchio in the Disney version, he makes some bad decisions, but he seems relatively good at heart. In the source material, he kills Jiminy Cricket, and the ghost of the cricket's haunting him throughout the story. And the costuming and the makeup work was great. It actually got 2 Oscar nominations, as a matter of fact. So there's going to be something on that. And then later in the week, obviously, I'm going to be talking Snyder Cut with Cecil at some point, either Thursday or Friday. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Lindsey.
Yo, so I got my WandaVision video done despite my internet working very well for 3 days and then not working at all one day. It was a fun week in the internet heavy Pankhurst house, let me tell you guys right now. But it's done, it's up, I'm proud of it. I've got a couple other things in the pipe coming down the road here, and I'm definitely going to do something about the Snyder Cut. What? I don't know. I did read a thing while we were online here. It's confirmed that it's going to drop at midnight. West Coast time, so 3 a.m. for you, CP. Sorry, bud. It's not like you sleep anyway. What are you complaining about?
Wait, midnight Thursday or midnight Friday?
Midnight Thursday. Thank you.
Oh, so late Wednesday night.
Yeah. So
Oh no,
Sexy.
no. Sorry. So, oh wait, really? Crap. Okay, so I need to look that up. Sorry,
if it's midnight,
yeah.
the
It would
18th,
be-
it's late
it-
Wednesday night.
That'll be the stroke
Yeah.
of midnight, like Wednesday night going into
Yeah.
Thursday.
Mhm.
So that's like we're talking 18 hours, or excuse me, like 32 hours away. Holy shit!
That's how
Wow.
Disney does it. Disney
Yeah.
did that too at WandaVision. They dropped it at midnight each
Okay.
episode.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
And
I
now
can
that
wait
I
a day and a
have
half.
Cali time with you guys, I won't have to wait that additional hour like I had been. We're an hour behind.
Yeah, I
That's
don't like.
right.
I'm so envious of
Yeah.
Arizona for not doing the daylight savings thing. Like, what? How are you able to do that? And we have to.
And I never realize it until I'm like going from shows I watch on YouTube that drop on a specific time every day. I'm like, why is that? Oh, oh shit. Okay, yeah,
that
that
sucks.
just happened everywhere else besides me.
Yeah.
It's like you
Yeah.
guys are in a little time bubble, moving at your own pace
Yeah.
while the rest of the world.
Yeah, we're adapting to extra sun. Like, what the fuck? The time is just. Oh no, it's not. It's not
We're
the
just a
same.
bunch of old men shouting at our clouds.
Chauncey.
This week I'm going to be doing a review of the upcoming Shudder film Slacks, which deals with killer genes, literally killer
So great.
genes.
So
That'll be
great.
coming out on Shudder. I'll have a review of that for tomorrow for people to check out, spoiler free, so people can get a sense of if they want to see it. I also have a graphic novel review coming out this week of Box of Bones, which is an indie graphic novel that deals with this box of kind of like trauma and things like that, but in a horror sense. It's a horror graphic novel. And I'm also going to do a spoiler-free review of Justice League Snyder Cut, but also on Saturday I will be doing a deep dive breakdown of it live for people who might want to check that out on Saturday. So
Awesome.
those are the things this week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And here at HQ, I don't know what to tell you because I have to go back to the hospital later in the week and get cut open. So I don't know like how long this is going to take. I need to go back under the knife and get put under. They thought it was a surface level thing that they were able to take care of it yesterday. I have to. They got to go deep in my body and cut things and it's my gut. So I'm going to have to sleep through that. So I have nothing but insecurity about the week. So if you see me, be surprised. Otherwise, next Monday. And Chauncey, we have like 10 days, right, before I'm joining you.
Yes, I'm gonna be putting out the cover for that this week. But I do a monthly show called Movie Autopsy, and this time usually I'm on the other end where I'm explaining to someone why their movie's crap that they like, or not crap, but just not that great. I've done it for The Shining, I did it for Jordan Peele's Us, and Midsummer, and this month CP and I are going to be doing Jason X, but I am on the other end because I think Jason X is one of the top Friday the 13th films of the franchise, not the best
that's not
one,
saying much,
but maybe
anyway.
a good second. And I CP is going to be on the other end of that. So
I can't wait to piss off your fans.
I love
I
Jason.
don't know, they might agree with you.
I don't know.
I love
I don't
Jason.
know. All right, guys. So thanks to everybody in the chat, especially some people who are banned from Walmart. Good
Nice
to
as
see you.
queen.
Yes, and thanks to the mods for keeping up and babysitting. We will see you next week. Otherwise, have a happy Tuesday. Say goodbye, everybody. Yay.
Bye-bye.